Hello, I'm Cadenza, and this is Inverness Nights. This is a supernatural historical fiction visual novel that was developed by these folks and released on itch.io back in 2017. As far as I know, this team hasn't made any other games, which is kind of a shame because I like this one a lot. If at any point in this playthrough this game seems interesting to you and you want to check it out for yourself, you can buy it on itch for $12, which I think is a pretty reasonable price. Or, if you donated to the Racial Justice and Equality bundle that itch put out several years ago, then you already own this game, in which case, what are you waiting for? I think it's in a couple other bundles as well. Wouldn't hurt to check. Before we get started with the playthrough, I do want to go over the content warnings for this game, because there's a lot here. I'm quoting directly from the store page. This game contains, quote, gore, sexual references, emotional and physical abuse, alcoholism, depictions of racism and homophobia, body horror, discussion of gender dysphoria, suicidality, implied suicide, description of dead bodies, institutional abuse and police brutality, and profanity. You're not going to see all of that at once, obviously, but this can be a pretty dark game sometimes. It goes places, let's say. So if you think you might be adversely affected by any of that, I would recommend proceeding with caution. But having said all that, let's begin. April 1746. Of the men who went to battle, only a portion returned to town. Of the men who returned to town, only a portion remained alive. I checked the fallen figures, face by face, streets to outskirts. Alistair Fairbairn's son had visited me 3 times. Enough I knew there was a family resemblance, but not enough to stave off hope I'd failed in identifying a body. The church collected the nearest dead to provide a real resting place. Anyone too far east would be consigned to the ground they collapsed on, or an English-made mass grave. If I couldn't find the lad in town, other hands would find him. If I couldn't find him in the fields, I had to find him. Further from the nest than I'd been in 5 years. The sky climbed higher, the valleys dove deeper. The world opened and offered to claim me. Tristram, nomad. Tristram, sellsword. Tristram, tailor. There is nothing tying you to Inverness. There is nothing in Inverness at all. Take your skills and leave, as you have left every other place and every other life in the last 800 years. For once, the world was wrong. Hidden in my bedroom, the man waited for his son. I turned my focus to the road, to the task, to the terrain at my feet. A crossroad appeared, one arm marked with a dry stone wall. Corpses were stacked against it. At the bottom of the pile, I saw Fairbairn features. Blonde hair, pale skin, staring blue eyes. George. Too much weight on his gentle body. Tartans caught on the pins and weapons of his comrades, fermenting in the damp, the insects writhing from the mud and into his wounds. Impossible to drag him out alone. I sat by the heap and suffered the rain with him. Rain to drizzle, drizzle to mist. A well-to-do sort rode by on a horse, their pace a curious trot. I stood from the wall. Would he help me? A startled yes came in reply. Levering the heap, I watched him pull the lad free. The damage, somehow worse when viewed alone, no others to compare it to. Despite the noble's gaze, I laid my hands on the body, skin to sunken skin, and focused. My palms glowed star-white. The lad's cheeks filled, the insects fled his wounds, and his color returned. Still, and still dead. I couldn't mend the essential breaks, but I could make him presentable for his father. Presentable is often enough. May 1750. Presentable. What makes a man presentable? Clear complexion, clean clothes, carefully cut hair, perhaps. At 67, Alistair Fairburn has few wrinkles, a laundered coat, and a neat shave. Still, I'd call him a mess overdue for tidying. It's this leg, and his fool approach to tending it. The knee bulges at an angle. He could have let me set it. The skin crawls with white and green. He could have let me apply alcohol. You can't escape anything on sickly feet. Neither the Highlands nor the world. Not with me around. Again, my palms glow star-white. Like father, like son. Curing decay is my talent, whether old age and illness in the living, or the literal kind in the dead. And Alice isn't gone yet. Should my work succeed, he won't be gone for a while. Where are my old clothes? Sorry about that. It's been a little bit since I've done one of these. I gotta get back into the spirit of things. Non-violent anger is Alice's habit, but tonight he throws his cane. His arms are still foreign. The throw misses by 2 feet. There's a clatter as the cane hits the wall, the floor, bounces over itself, stops, unbroken. It was for your health. He hops toward me, bends to the ground, picks up the cane, stands again, tapping it to the rug. You're a real devil. If he's trying to figure me as something Mephistophelian, well, he's near the truth. But with cotton wool in place of a brain, he's hardly Faust. And the topless towers of Inverness burned for a bonny prince, not sweet Helen. I'm just a man, same as any other. And I was a just man. Now... He lifts the small of the cane from the floor and tips it skyward, the pendulous head swinging to the lowest point. Now... His hands slip together as if he's holding a golf club. Now! He sweeps the cane over his head and attempts to hammer it down on mine. I catch it by the shaft some inches above my skull. He's stronger than he was, but I have the sturdier frame. I trust his tantrum is over. Pacing backwards, I pull him into my workshop. We're only a few meters off the exterior door, and the staircase to the street. Stop it! You could let go of the cane. Not taking my legs again. I'm not. You are. Throwing this around, provoking me, making poor decisions. Decisions? Pass out from a fever, wake up like this? Tell me, Tristram, do people make decisions in their sleep? He tugs the cane once more. I hold tight. He, predictably, gives in. His hands squeak off. He stumbles back. His knee cracks. He crumples to cradle it. Don't exacerbate your injury. Make me young? Don't make my leg better? You useless... No, I'm useless. My joints, my house. Invite me into every bad place and every bad plan. I say yes to every invitation. I ought to report you for buggery. Aye, that'd do it. London might have legalized sorcery, but sodomy's a crime in both books. Ignore God how you like. Can't ignore the garrison. No, oh no. Give me my cane, Triss. I'll walk you. You'll let go. You'll leave me without any legs to stand on. So, this game has 3 different story routes. Only 2 are available initially. We'll go over the 3rd later. For this playthrough, we'll start out with the worst one, I guess. It's literally called the bad route in the walkthrough that comes with the game when you buy it. And in order to put ourselves onto that route, we will be indulging Tristram's worst impulses and being an asshole. As I remember it, your first fall happened because I wasn't there. If this is about keeping you mobile... I hoist him over my shoulder. He drums against my shoulder blades as we descend. A thin crust has formed on the mud. 2 days since the last rainfall. 3 more, I might be able to leave home without my socks dyeing brown. I place him on a solitary island of semi-solid dirt. His face is slick and hot. His hair bristles in odd directions. I failed to retie his bow before waking him. Hair tamed or tangled, the expression underneath would be the same. Teary, furious confusion. Not a lark, Triss. I mean it. I'll report you. I will. Threats, like library books, are best issued one at a time. With 3 variants taken out, his are unlikely to return. I turn and climb home. Stopping on the landing, I strike the wall of the staircase. My hand judders with pain, and the anger subsides to a wooden ache. Less than 1/10 my age and 10 times as frustrating. I should have let him escape the way he wanted. But I couldn't cut that last tie, and both ends are knotted tight. I stir from the armchair. My clothes stink of vinegar. Mental athletics work up a sweat as sour as any other, and invite slumber in ill-advised places. Sleep has made the threat more real, demanded a response. The options before me. Leave now, avoid arrest. No funds saved, not after buying equipment to try cobbling. I'd have to abandon my possessions and disappear on foot. A safer start, but a harsher end. Unemployed in a gutter across the country, with nothing but a broken case and whatever fit inside. Oh, for a career that demands fewer supplies. Alternatively, I stay and save for a proper journey. This option comes with a chance of arrest. Arrest comes with certain execution. Destitution in a foreign city would be another kind of death sentence, wouldn't it? On foot, I could manage the merest tailoring equipment, enough to mend if not to make. Perhaps I'm being too pessimistic about immediate departure. As long as I'm taking the threat as genuine, it's my best option. I should seize it while I have the chance. I stand. I swing my shoulder and click my neck to either side. I bend backwards until the stiffness eases out of my spine. Never growing any older is the defining perk of immortality, but age and angry joints are not necessarily synonymous. Are Alistairs any calmer now? My closet holds artifacts from my last move. A valise tearing at the buckles, an outdated cocked hat. I heave the bag by its straps and set it on the floor, one of the pair snapping in the process. With a huff, I duck into my bedroom. Keeping each item folded, I take my valuable clothes from my drawers. A capelet with a flory counterflory around the hem, a short-sleeved coat with a colorful yoke, antique asymmetrical Venetian leggings. Into the case they go. A few trinkets, a short sword, some tartans I haven't worn in decades, probably won't wear for decades to come. This band seems set to last. Englishmen, or English sympathizers, could show up in a minute, spot me in them. Another charge to read as I approach the gallows. On to scissors, threads, needle sets, a box I keep full of buttons and other notions, several coils of ribbon. I won't bother with fabric. It's all out of fashion, much like my hat, only suited for sentimental work. Case filled with everything I can easily remember, I plunge into the depths of my mind for any sunken necessities, only to be... hauled up by a knock. My heartbeat, my breathing, and the hairs on the back of my neck raise and turn. Alistair is not a morning person. By this sunlight, I'd barely call it 8. Is he really so committed to my demise? I've confronted death in 100 red fields. I can confront it at my front door.
How prompt.
A woman. On this morning or any other, a woman is odd, professionally and personally. How may I help you?
May I come in? It's still cold as winter here.
Having a woman inside my workshop would be a boon, whatever she's entering for. Certainly.
Thank you, sir. Ah, you're packing. Have I come at a bad time?
I'm heading on a trip, but a short chat is no trouble.
A trip? How long are you going?
Indefinitely.
Why?
Private matters.
I asked the innkeeper about a dressmaker. He told me, don't bother with the specialists. The tailor nearby. He dabbles. He made my wife's favorite ensemble. I hope it's not money trouble. You seem valued, and I'm sure if someone knew...
My finances are fine, and they don't need to know. You could pay to learn tact.
Sorry for forgetting my place. If you won't share your business, may I share mine? Assuming I'm still no trouble.
Her business is already half shared, though I should have figured it from her first words. English, so not local, excepting some secret garrison wife. And she couldn't be a bastard. I haven't known any women lately. The sole occasion I tried them, I was like a child, forced to try vegetables. Swallowing for health and for the sake of my parents. That is quite the simile, Tristram. Thus, the only option. A customer. Share away.
Thank you, sir. If it isn't obvious, I'm fishing for a new ensemble. With what you've said about leaving, I should probably mention up front I'm prepared to pay an emperor's ransom.
The same emperor's ransom she used to purchase her current, rather depressing costume? Oh, the fabric is serviceable. The cut is modern, at least this side of the channel. There are pearls, there is lace. But the English are known counterfeiters. If they've invented fake crystal, why not mock other adornments? The chiffon at her hem is unraveling. And why run a rope around her neck if she can afford better? That accessory opens the trapdoor and drops her from fraud to freak. Likely feigning luxury for the purpose of whoring. Awfully judgmental there, aren't you, buddy? I'll consider.
Excellent.
Provided you show me this fortune. If she thought I would be gullible enough to skip asking.
Of course. I should have done that to begin with.
Her hand weaves down her stays as if tempting me to follow. No. Back from the valley. Is she surprised by my lack of interest? Her smile stays steady, so mayhaps not. I could be misunderstanding. While I speak several languages, the female tongue has always eluded me.
It's not the whole payment. I don't have any pockets, and this bodice only fits so much.
She holds a red and gold purse with a clashing pink tie. Opening the lips, she reveals...
Though it's probably a full month of work, unless you're presently paid what you're worth.
Solid gold coins. No messing with pounds and bank wars and all the trouble of legal tinder. Substance I can pass and barter at every edge of the known world. What could she possibly want made? Maybe I need to lift her status back to fraud. Could be counterfeit, couldn't it? Still, if I took it for real, others would do the same. As long as they accept it, what does it matter if it's fake? Alright, what do you need my skills for?
A robe, a petty, and a stomacher. My hem's fraying, as I'm sure you've already noticed. I didn't until it was too late for repairs.
Your last outfit was made in England, was it?
London.
Typical. The innkeeper had a good choice of words. I only dabble in frocks. Even so, if you trust his recommendation. You're offering that much. I'll take the job. I could hire a proper coach and move my furniture. I could move it to the first home I see. Then I could stop work for a year and focus on my hobbies. The concern here is time. This should only take a day or two, complexity depending, but every hour in Inverness is an hour more of worry. Though having a woman in my shop will help if the law comes knocking. This could work well. I might even escape with my hair still red. Assuming my inexperience with skirts and stays doesn't drastically reduce my speed. What if she wants me to come up with a design? Or provide fabric? Then I have to source it, and this is why I'm a tailor. Women have too many complexities, too many curves. Nothing like drafting for men. Straight lines, sharp angles. You're gay because you love men. I'm gay because I don't know how to make dresses. We are not the same. Were it not for the money, I'd regret this already. I'll need a few more details before I can begin. Yes, I must begin this morning. I'll delay my escape until we're done, but no further.
Escape?
Don't pry. Now, once again, we're staying on the bad route. That was an interesting way to mispronounce the word route, or route. Two valid pronunciations, and I picked neither. Anyway, we're staying on the bad route, for now, so. Do you have any further specifications? Are there any desired materials?
Yes to both.
She returns to the door and reaches behind the frame. A bolt of purple fabric in tow, she makes her way in again. She dumps the bolt on my armchair. Once more, her hand winds down her stay. She produces a surprisingly intact piece of paper. Must you keep doing that?
What?
Rummaging in your clothes. She said she didn't have pockets, Tristram. What do you want?
Right. It's not proper behavior, is it? In any case, these are my plans.
An elaborate robe, drowning in trims and beads. Small wonder she offered me several years' pay. Most men would take that long to craft this. There's a joke. Chiffon drapery on the sleeves, to be properly finished this time. That's one detail I can guarantee. I take the sheet. My fingers trace the design. It's likely she drew this. The lines are shaky, as though they've been written on a carriage ride or with numb hands. Sound anatomy. Under some sections there are skeletal construction lines. I'll have to substitute most of the trims, and while I keep a supply of beads, some of your notes mention...
Real gold? I have that on the other listed supplies at my inn. I thought bringing them today would be getting ahead of myself.
I see. This bolt here is the petty and stomacher fabric.
Isn't it interesting?
There were cultures and times where lilac was interesting for its illegality. This is not one of them. It's not beige, but it's not tartan. To some, I suppose. Looking through the lot of this, I'm estimating a full week to finish. It's not ideal, but what is? If that's acceptable, let's continue to the fitting. Before that, I need a drink. It's been a while since I've done this. Need to work up my vocal strength again? I don't know how to put it. You know what I mean. It takes a lot to read a lot of lines for sustained periods. You know how it is. Alright, moving on.
Excellent.
Here we go. Holding the fabric to her stays, I deconstruct the garment in my mind. Which rises am I supposed to hang this off? Merciful that their garments are taken from their underwear instead of their bodies, flattening down all the dimensions to a simple slab of... Hang on. Your stays are crushing you.
Aren't they supposed to?
To an extent, but there's a difference between fitting for vanity and fitting for denial. But then, what's in denial here? Jesus Christ, dude. I need a third option. or ignorance. Between this and the fact you let someone sell you a fraying robe, I'm not sure you understand how clothes are meant to work. Which, considering her drafting skills, is actually rather sad. It's like seeing someone eat a well-chosen but half-ripe fruit. A promising start, invalidated. I don't want to see you hurt out of ignorance. You need a properly fitted stay, or you'll wreck something. Your ribs, your organs. I'm not a doctor, but I am a man of common sense. Who am I to say what goes on inside them? Maybe they have extra layers of soft tissue to match the rest of their soft nature, and it's that that's getting constricted. Excuse me. No, this is disconcerting. Even though I know next to nothing about the inner workings of women, I can't allow this.
You're probably right, but there's no alternative.
Why not?
You waved me off the topic of your escape. I'm allowed privacy too. If you're worried about my health...
For my health, I got that, sorry.
Better we leave it like this.
I'm not smart enough to realize the fit is crushing her, but wise enough to say the crushing is the lesser evil. It's none of my business. Furthermore, my business will suffer if I keep this up. My hands move stiffly across the petty silk. It crackles at the touch, brittle like aged bones, more solid than a mid-weight weave should be. The embroidery is unusual too. Arabesque, all abstract eagles and stars. Quite unlike what I make on my tambour frame. Where did you get this?
Oh, I thought you'd never ask.
She sparks to life, every inch of her jittery with joy.
It's a lengthy story, but with your work I'll have time to tell it.
Be my guest. I'm going to start pinning, so I won't be too talkative.
Brilliant. I'll start with a little history.
Like a rehearsed actor with an old monologue, she inhales. Before Italy, and after the East, Constantinople was the center of the silk trade. Having stolen the means of manufacture from China, they were the first in the Western world to weave it. We open in a Byzantine silk workshop, occupied by a seamstress named Mariana. Mariana was one of the women contracted to work in the silk industry. Work, and live, and die. While the empire was aging, and its lips were looser than they had once been, its silkwork remained a secret. It sought to keep these last threads of knowledge from being pulled away. Yet everything unravels eventually. 2 unauthorized men slouched through Mariana's doorway. First, a man with pink eyes, the shade somewhere around rose quartz or a pale blush. On their documents, his name was Porphyrius. In conversation, it was Fury. He was a Venetian trader with a spirit like flint on steel. Following tentative behind him was a scruffy, purple-eyed man named Sinbad. Not especially fiery, not prone to sparking trouble, but he was loyal. While Fury was prone to misadventure, the particular predicament that had placed the pair in the workshop was not of his making. It was a pale autumn afternoon in the year 1171, and a section of the city's Venetian population had attacked the Genoese quarter, an expected event in an overheated melting pot. Less expected was the Empire's reaction, a call to arrest every Venetian in reach, regardless of their involvement. Fury's official options were to turn himself in, or to flee and force a more personalized arrest. Why not take the chance for freedom? Why not take something else with it? As a trader, he'd been forbidden from owning flat lengths of silk. As a criminal, he was forbidden nothing. So, the silk workshops. So, Mariana.
I thought you said this building was empty, Fury.
I said it was unguarded. Does she look like someone who'd kebab me? She mostly doesn't.
Even if she's not a guard, won't she be held accountable for letting us go?
I suppose. Fury picked 1 teal bolt and 2 greens. Ma'am, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Sinbad said, claiming a royal purple bolt decorated in turquoise and orange. We're broke, and he's Venetian. If we escape unstalked, we'll starve. Don't apologize. She's a government contractor. Government's running me out. We're enacting divine providence. Here, have another bolt. Sinbad yelped under the new weight. Red, with blue and gold birds. Mariana said nothing, but swept toward a table and stooped from her great height to rummage beneath it. Let's keep running. Any more would be greedy. The men had 3 bolts each. Sinbad's were clutched to his chest. Or, if you want to list an actual deterrent, there's the fact my arms are at top capacity, Fury said, adjusting his last bolt to balance on his shoulder. He gave a nod. Sinbad gave a bow. The 2 men turned to exit. Mariana cleared her throat. Dropping a bolt onto the table, she stared at their backs. Fury turned again, whacking Sinbad in the face with a protruding bolt end. First grade lilac. Color and quality both unavailable to common folk, let alone common foreigners.
Passage on your ship in exchange for this. Worth more on its own than all 6 of those other rolls, she insisted.
The loose edge drifted, abstract hands waving from within the patterns.
It'd be too dangerous for...
Just dangerous enough to be an adventure. Toss it on, Sinbad. To port, and to drink. The trio were off. Within 20 meters of the workshop, Fury tossed his bolts onto Sinbad's pile. His pace declined, but he held fast to the stack, tense through his upper body. Mariana ran like a flood, imposing and probably impactful, but slow to build. Fury was fleet. He took the lead and used it to engage in a spot of theft. Pockets and purses, stalls and stands. His fingers wound into any clear space, snapping jewels, coins, several bags of gold and bronze beads, a diamond-encrusted buckle in the shape of an egg. The chaos was a question, and 1 sharp guard remained in the district to seek an answer. Give me a description of the men who did this. It wasn't just men, sir. Reaching one of the city's southern ports, Fury took the party to a small, flat-bottomed boat. It was old, but cozy and well-maintained. Sinbad threw the bolts inside the cabin. Returning to the deck, he applied his liberated hands to the anchor. Fury grabbed the oars and threw one to Mariana. We'll row when we can.
Likely to be never unless you help fix this chain,
Sinbad called, tugging at a stuck sequence of links. Hurtling down a slipped road toward the port, the guard noticed 3 figures, Italian, Persian, and, as described, standing on deck. Mariana. Blurring into a kinetic mess of red and blue, he kept on for the cog. Mariana! He was a bird of prey. Mariana! Aquila, a soldier empty of his own interest, his life charted by lawmakers and generals, the charts followed like laws of their own. The tip of the anchor fidgeted out of the ocean bed. 5 seconds more exertion, it was reeled in. The boat eased from the dock. Aquila hit the water, thin frame slicing through the surface. Fury returned to his oar and pushed harder to escape. For the merest moment, Aquila's fingers brushed the panels, and the oar swept its arc, knocking him away with a smack of wood on flesh and a crippling crack of his bones. The boat and its pursuer grew further apart. Further apart, turned to far from sight. The Mediterranean awaited. Silence. Sustained silence. That's your stopping place?
I figured I'd save the rest for tomorrow.
I might forget the details overnight.
4 names and 3 professions? I'd hoped you'd be interested enough to remember, and to stay for the next installment. Though an old sailor's tale is less likely to keep you than money or professional responsibility.
Lifestyle choices and narrative decisions aside, she's not a complete idiot. Typical of noble women, if she's a noble woman, to be savvy in social scenarios and nowhere else. Tomorrow, then.
Wonderful.
With that settled, feel free to leave. I'll be able to get the basic elements of the petty and stomacher completed this afternoon, and perhaps a mock-up of the robe.
I'll bring the real fabric in the morning.
Thank you for your patronage.
My pleasure. Ah, one last thing.
She plucks out the purse again and drops it on my workbench. The gold jangles into place inside. I usually take payment on completion.
Why keep it rattling around in my clothes?
My move would be paid for thrice over.
What's the point if you'd rather run than help me?
The door squeaks open, and she hangs her head on the knob. She looks at me.
You never asked for my name. If you want it, it's Shell. Shell Azara.
I ought to be more engaged. Materials and specifications are a job, not a client. Quality tailors know both. I'm Tristram Rose.
It's set on your sign.
Click. She closes the door between herself and further discussion. Customer dedication is one thing, and chasing someone down those stairs another. The only way to prove I care is to complete the commission, as or better than intended. I lift the cut fabric off my desk and move it to the dress form. Baste the seams, ensuring the pattern runs unbroken around the lower hem. This is to be a tiered petty, layered in panels showcasing different sections of the embroidery. Shell's design is very specific about that. While I've only cut the structured layer, none of these scalloped overhangs, I must avoid wastage of this silk. Silk that has survived so long, waiting for a worthy garment, waiting to be worn against all prior laws. Porphyrius running from the ruins of his people with it, stalked by the empire that took them. He seems a man I could relate to. My abnormal amounts of discretion spared my workshop, but the English gladly razed Alice's cottage after Culloden. Had he been inside, he would have burned too. They assumed Alice had passed on his own. If he hadn't, he was old and ineffectual, and kept his Jacobite sympathies closeted with everything else. Since that year, he's lived in an apartment. He'll stay until his son's ghost drags him into a grave. Battle claims victims long after the last bullet. Sometimes, when he actually values my ability to ward off death, he comes here instead. Not now, I suppose. My ward became too literal. My home became a hospital.